Okay, let's have a small discussion. We had some questions from the attendees. Okay, let's see another review. So the first question was from an attendee to Claudia. So it says, do you think the policy barriers to NBS are a question of policy design or policy implementation? What do you think, Claudia, about this question?
I mean, it's a really good question. Both of them. I mean, it really depends on the case. In some cases, the policies are really well developed and really well structured, but then there's a missing control, let's say, and monitoring and implementation. Maybe it's, if I have to say, in most of the cases, I think that's, I mean, that's kind of a big share of the issue. I mean, when you have good policy, but then there are some tricky part in the implementation. I'm now in Barcelona, for example, and here they do have incredibly integrated policy on MBS and ecosystem services and strategies, but still they are kind of struggling in implementation. Nevertheless, I mean, they are much farther than most of EU cities, I have to say. So whether, I mean, if there's no good policy development, there won't be policy implementation. So let's start developing good policy and strategies, and then, I mean, work on the implementation part.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks, Claudia. I think it also depends to the country. I mean, different countries maybe have some policies, but the implementation part is really not so good. Okay, Isra, do you want to comment anything, or Evgenio, you want to comment anything on this question?
On the question of Claudia?
Yeah.
I think that one of the biggest issues is the policy implementation rather than the policy design. What we are facing is that how to co-implement with the community and the municipality and the other partners of the project on bringing them to the same table and discuss with them what is going on really on, and what is the best solution to address all the challenges that we have inside the Urban Living Lab.
Yeah, it's more about the practice of co-creation, like how to really change some of the traditional attitude of public administration into a more like open and transparent decision-making process. And sometimes it's also a very strong issue of timing. So like some processes, some tenders are very fast. They have to be submitted, they have to be done as soon as possible, and there is a lack of time for co-creation and digesting and re-elaborating ideas that come from it. So we need a sort of paradigm shift for any ways of doing decision making. So it's more about implementation.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. So George, proceed. Yeah.
Another question for both of you is about monitoring technologies. In which extent do you think that technologies such as Copernicus systems can support NBS implementation and evaluation? Is the role of monitoring important regarding decision making, policy making?
Mm-hmm. Do anyone want to
start?
Yeah.
Do you want to start, Isra?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, for this project directly, we didn't start yet using Copernicus, but we are doing somehow for a similar project in the city of Milan for mapping vegetation density in the city, tree canopy, and the progress of NBS. So somehow we'd like to apply this type of technologies for satellite images in general, for mapping and monitoring the progress of NBS in the city. So this could be a very objective way to assess if our cities are really improving their green in quantitative terms. We already have a mapping of green roofs in Milano through another project, which was called the Decumanus, and we are planning to continue this kind of monitoring also of green roofs.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
And what about you, Claudia?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much to add to what Professor Modello just say. I think it's, yeah, I mean, it's really promising, and I mean, it's already news. And as soon, I think this week that we have to do, like, as soon as we are able to include this kind of tool into easiest tool that the public administration can use. So like that, I mean, from Copernicus, we're able to give quantitative data, not just about the amount of greening, but like the impact that it has, so that it's clear to see like how much, I mean, from an environmental point of view, but also from the co-benefits that Isra and Eugenio were speaking about before. So as soon as we are able to give a concrete and fast representation of the benefit through this kind of monitoring tools, I think that will be the switch, at least in those cities that are not prepared yet. Like, coming back really fast on the question before, I think that the idea there, I mean, on design and implementation, I mean, Milan is an amazing case study. That, I mean, in Italy, you're definitely front runners. But there are a lot of smaller city and like smaller city, sorry, and like less developed and with less technical capacity within the city, where even the policy development is an issue. And so I think like these kind of tools could really help, I mean, the smaller and medium-sized city that doesn't have like, first of all, a university now that they can rely on, for example, or a department within the city that they, you know, that is like expert in these. Most of the city, if we go there and we speak about MBS and whatever, they don't even know what we are speaking about. So I think like that switching tool and languages can really do the big step in the upscale, apart from the front running city that are doing a lot.
Okay.
I think I can, if I can add to the point that Claudia was saying. So one of the things that we faced during the co-implementation and co-monitoring is to bring as well. We did a kind of a theory of change workshops with the stakeholders, the different community members, and the simulation of who are the people that, you know, they live in this neighborhood. And what we figured out that you should not just bring the knowledge of nature-based solutions to the table, so everyone can be on the same kind of platform, especially if there's not a university. And another thing is, so much depends on the scale. When we are talking about small-scale cities, is different than while we're talking about a campaign of green roofs in Milan. So you have a lot of different challenges. You have a lot of different implementation scales, and changing some rules and regulation might not be easy, but then you have to not go through into conflict with the people living on these buildings, or maybe the small communities that they have inside the implementation, that you have a corridor happening. So that is, you just need to look at communicating the co-benefits, and bringing everyone on board is very, very important.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Isra. So we have, I will try to combine two questions that I think they are similar. So it's directed to Isra. It's about decision making, and it says, could you talk more about the role of powerful private actors in your projects, and the way they were enabling or constraining the implementation in the local community derived visions? And the other says, which are actually the experts that are predominantly valued in decision-making process? So I think these two are connected. Also, Isra, if you want to elaborate on this.
Yeah, so I think I could take this on two scales. The first predominant decision-making experts are the municipalities. you need to start changing to break the silos of the municipalities, bringing different and connecting departments that are working on the implementation of nature-based solution. You do not just need the direction of the resilience or the green or the plan of the PGT or whatever your plan, environmental plan for the city, but bringing everyone on the same and the shared vision and what your project is aiming to change. So that is a very predominant value in the decision-making process during, especially if it's an urban regeneration big scale. So that's a kind of a special scale challenge. And on the powerful private actors, I think it depends on how you address them. If you are talking about an inclusive process, you know that you need to co-create together, you need to have a dialogue on what is your aims and communicating as well. What is me as a private investor? What am I aiming out of this? What am I expecting as a result? And what is, could be some financial tax credits or like a lot of kind of incentives to boost nature-based solutions and kind of giving them the value of what they are doing. And the thing is, they were constraining at some point, but that was in one of the living labs that we had in Milan, where they were constraining the process because it was a kind of a public bid. And when it comes to public procedures, there's a lot of time that is wasted between the decision-making and the implementation. And this problem was probably because they didn't know much about the value that the nature-based solutions are bringing to the community and bringing as well to their project. And this is happening mainly with the Rete Ferrovia Italiana and then the Italfer, that they're kind of, bringing a green noise barrier on an infrastructure that is huge as a trainway station. It's not an easy thing. So reducing the conflicts as well with the community, because they do not want them in their backyards. So it's a kind of, again, bringing everyone on this shared vision and then try to communicate and bring the dialogue, and the shared governance is really, really important. You do not make workshops with citizens, you do not co-design with them and then like throw away whatever you said to them. You need to keep an eye on the monitoring of the process, bring them on board and co-develop and upscale also with them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Thank you, Isra. Claudia, do you have to add something here?
I mean, not really. I think it was pretty explanatory. I really agree like that with the private on the one side. I mean, we have to be careful. I mean, not to say that, of course, money, it's kind of like taking hold some time. I mean, we as a university, also like the municipal authority has to be careful sometimes. And I mean, there should compromise between the interests of the two. I think that's always the most difficult part. So negotiation and compromise when you have several actors involved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. So last question?
A last question
Okay.
For both of you. An important barrier is lack of coherence between different projects and initiatives is recognized as a big barrier. How do you think that we can overcome this barrier? And have you tried to communicate your results and outputs with other initiatives and share knowledge?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Isra?
We can go first. So I don't think we do have a lack of coherence, because we have just been to the European Climate Change Conference in Lisbon, and there's a task force on nature-based solutions that is promoted by the European Commission. And they are also having other projects on board, not just Horizon 2020. And they have also some LIFE projects and some climate kit projects that also are addressing nature-based solutions. So we kind of complement each other. We do not overlap. And it was interesting for us because we saw that other projects that maybe they started before us in Clever, but they needed and they understood that there's a need for a guidance for co-creating the nature-based solutions with community and try to, collaborate on different scales, not just on the scale of front-runner cities or big cities like London and Hamburg and Milan, but also small community scale cities. So I think this kind of lack of coherence might not be. We pan in different, we pop up in different places. There is also not just the task force, but also the manifesto that is on Think Nature webinar, on Think Nature platform, sorry. So we just need a dialogue, and we could also, in a couple of years, we could also have a big knowledge hub, another one, to bring all the experience that we learned from the cities and talk about them together.
Yeah, I think it's true that there is some overlapping among projects and experiences, because we are not the first one delivering a creation guidance, even if maybe with a different approach, more related to spatial and urban challenges, of course. But I think also replication is a good, has a value. So even reading similar experiences in different contexts creates a network and the diffusion of similar approaches and values. So that's also important. I agree that it's very hard to bring all the things together and in a coherent framework. But the question is, do we really need a super coherent framework, or we can leave some space to flexibility and different, let's say, a declination of the approaches?
Mm-hmm. Okay, Claudia, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, again, I perfectly agree with what you was just said, and I really like the last part on. I mean, I'm not sure that we really need a framework. I mean, there should be, let's say, an agreed vision on this, and agreed, like, yeah, I mean, some, let's say, main bullet points, like, I don't know, co-creation monitoring, whatever. But as we are realizing more and more, I mean, MBS are not, our big framework are not a solution that can stick to all. I mean, of course, each city has its own challenge, and based on that, they can find their own solution. So, I mean, this will be based on a framework, of course, but I mean, I don't think, again, that this needs to be, I mean, the approach should be coherent, and I think it is in all the European project that we see now. But then, I mean, of course, each city will have to work like locally and with tailored approaches. So.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Just want to add here that I agree with both of you, and I think that now we have a coherent, we have reached a coherent framework among the initiative in nature-based solutions, and we're working towards good coordination to this. I think Nature Project is, of course, helping towards this direction through the platform and through all these dialogue, workshops, forums, and the webinars. And I would like to invite all the attendees, if they're not already, to register in the Think Nature platform and contribute to the dialogue that we have online, and see, of course, all the resources that we have gathered there. That's very good material for nature-based solutions. So I would like now to thank you all for this last webinar. Thank you for accepting our invitation. Thank you for these very nice presentations and all your insights in the governance of nature-based solutions. This was the last Think Nature webinar. You can find all the material afterwards in the platform and in YouTube. So do you have anything to add on this?
thank you very much for your participation, and it was a very nice experience having all this series of webinars. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.